Page 4. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha. By my accumulations or practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha. By my accumulations or practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha. By my accumulations or practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. Sanye joda soge chonam da chanjo pando dane kyapsuch dage jinso jebe sonam ge dola penjire sanye jubare sho Sanye joda soge chonam da chanjo pando dane kyapsuch dage jinso jebe sonam ge dola penjire sanye jubare sho Sanye joda soge chonam la chanjo pando dane kyapsuch dage jinso gebe sonam ge dola penjire sanye jubare sho Om ye dharma hetu prabhavam hetum Esham chayo nirodha evam vati mahashramanaye svaha Om ye dharma hetu prabhavam hetum tesham dathagato yavatat Tesham chayo nirodha evam bhati mahashramanaye svaha Om hetu prabhavam hetum tesham dathagato yavatat Tesham chayo nirodha evam vati mahashramanaye svaha. Okay. Our continuation for the way we left the first session is equalizing the seven others. So here the one thing that I'd like to share with you is that the difference between the Bodhicitta wisdom, the Bodhicitta and the wisdom of emptiness. In both cases, we need to have very authentic information, the teaching or the information. That's very important. Meanwhile, the one difference between the two is that the wisdom of emptiness, the bodhicitta. Bodhicitta, it is something that you can learn very quickly. In other words, if you learn very seriously from somebody having a good knowledge, then you can learn about the bodhicitta. The minimum what you require within like 3, 4, 5 days, and of course you can keep expanding on this knowledge. And so in other words, learning is pretty quick, but experience will take long time. Bodhicitta, it will take long time, and at times you may feel demoralized. Whereas for you, the dharma means reciting mantras, making prostrations. If this is what you say is dharma, then every day there is you get a sense that I'm doing something, because once you complete, for example, say in one day you make prostration 1,000, you complete that, okay, for today I finished my dharma, right? And whereas if you practice bodhicitta, if you practice bodhicitta as your dharma, then at times you will get to a point where that no matter how much you meditated, you get a feeling that I've become stagnated. I'm being stagnated here. I don't go any further from here. And that look at my experiences coming earlier. Bodhicitta retreat in Root Institute, the first few days, after the retreat, first few days, there's so much of the buoyancy in my mind and elation, joy, some kind of experience. You feel like even crying to think about the bodhicitta. Now it has become static. I feel stagnated here. I don't go any further. It's just purely mechanical. I follow the steps there as you taught, but it's so mechanical. You can reach to a point where point of not really saturation, like a saturation, where you don't grow any further. At that point, you may feel so demoralized because you discover you are following the real dharma. Real dharma is what? Real dharma is to bring about transformation in your mind. That you see that the transformation is not happening. You have discovered that. It's not easy to go for the transformation. This is what you've discovered. So whereas those people who see dharma means recite a mantra and then prostrations. What is dharma? Prostrations. So every day I do 1,500 and today my share of the prostration is completed. I recite the 21 malas of Aratara or Manipimahum or whatever mantra. I finish this, you have a sense of accomplishment, but the real transformation is not taking place. And you don't know that the real mental transformation is the dharma. For you, dharma is something else. So therefore you will never discover that you remain stagnant. You don't discover that. You have a feeling that I'm doing something, my dharma is in the process, in the go. But those people who go into this wisdom of emptiness, bodhicitta, you're bound to find, to reach a point where you see that you get stuck. You don't grow any further. You're getting it? So which means that it's not that other person is lucky, that there's always a sense of that I'm doing some dharma. For you, you feel stuck, you're unfortunate. No, what you are doing is the real thing, real dharma. But it doesn't mean that prostration, mantras, and these are not dharma. This is not the thing. These are the aids. These are the aids. For example, like say if you cannot eat food, quickly or digest swallowing the food is difficult, then you keep a water next to you. Water is not the food. It's just to aid that the food goes in. You're getting it? That the food goes in. So likewise, these are the aids to bring about transformation in the mind. What transforms is the bodhicitta and the wisdom of emptiness, renunciation. So when these three things are not there, then you think that you are, because it says that for some people, for some traditions, dharma is the dharma for the eyes. For some people, dharma is the dharma for the ears. For some people, dharma is the dharma for the mind. You're getting it? Okay. For some people, dharma is dharma for the body. Just to go for penance. To go for penance. This is my dharma. For the body, to torture the body. Right? This is dharma. For some people, dharma is for your ears. Recite mantras. Recite mantras, this will take you to enlightenment. Dharma of the ears. For some, is the dharma of the mind. Buddhism. To bring a change in the mind. And then in Buddhism, it becomes mantra, right? And prostrations is for the visual and physical exercise, right? Then this is not, the Buddhism is marked as the dharma of the mind. Whereas for some, it's the dharma of the body. To torture your body, that way cleansing is expected, and then you become enlightened. For some, it's the dharma of the ears, where you recite the mantras for sound, and there are different traditions there, right? So Buddhism, what is dharma? Is the dharma of the mind, to bring a transformation in mind, and the real transformation takes place with the bodhicitta, wisdom of emptiness, renunciation. So for that we see that it's not that easy. This is the most difficult thing, to bring about change in the mind. So to torture yourself, right? Yes, some people, they may not be so intelligent, but if to put themselves into hardships, they are number one, right? For some people, recite a mantra, There's a mantra, at least you have something to show. Yes, okay, this is today, look at my chart. This is the date and what I recited. There's something to show. But with the mind, it is you who should see the transformation. And without the mantras, physical torture, doesn't guarantee that your mind is transformed. You getting it? Let's not forget it. So therefore, but it doesn't mean the prostration, mantle offerings, then these are all required. It's all required. We see that I don't want the glass. I want the water. I don't want the glass. I don't want the container. I want the content, the honey. But the honey, how can you bring honey without the container? Contents are required. Even though container is not what you look for, you look for the nectar inside. But the container is required to bring the nectar. So likewise, all these other things, the prostration so required, but not forgetting that the content, without the nectar inside, just bring the very beautiful container, is totally useless. And so I'll say okay, so that way the point is that if you get stuck, you are bound to get stuck. If you get stuck, don't feel demoralized. You're getting it? Don't feel demoralized. If you really get stuck, then if you are some teachers around you, or some of your friends who are practitioners around you, you discuss with them. You're getting it? You discuss, you seek the advice of your teachers. So this is where, I've been doing this, and I got stuck now, and then all what I'm doing is now purely mechanical. I don't see any progress happening now. What should I do? How should I go from this point forward? So these are things that we need to keep in mind. You're getting it? And sometimes even the thing is that they either, in some cases, even some of the great learned scholars who are really passionate about Dharma practice, but they may not be practicing themselves. At least they have a heart for the Dharma practice. Even those people can have it because of their vast knowledge. They know what the earlier teachers they've been through, who practiced, and who get stuck, what did they do, they learned all these things. Best is someone who's very learned and who's actually practicing these. This is best. And so as said by Lama in the book, in the text which we read, the lamp of the body enlightenment, to get such a teacher is very rare. So under such situation, even your colleagues, your friends who are actually practicing, who are in the same boat of the Dharma practice, you can discuss with them and they might have some ideas to help you. Okay. And then finally, to have more extensive learning. This is the best way to make sure that you're being helped. Okay, so basically what I would say is that if possible, whenever somebody said this, and if it is not what you read, if somebody said there's a living person there, you have to ask the person, what do you mean by this? Don't just keep the words, enticing words, to impress you. You're getting it? Don't simply see these words, one line, and it impresses you. Just ask the person, what do you mean by this? Make sure that you understand it before you bring it to BODHICITTA retreat. You're going to make sure that you understand it, rather than bring it waiting till the BODHICITTA retreat happens. You're going to, this is so, make sure that it is clarified. Don't just leave it on the beautiful words. What he said? Refuge is the refuge you are seeking is the transformation of your own mind. Okay, so what do you mean by that? Say somebody who really embodies this knowledge, experience, they can have a lengthy discourse to really give you, information to transform you. And some people, they copy it from something else. We never know. You have to ask. So this is different. It depends. On the one hand, they're barbaric. On the one hand, on the other hand, they're very smart. They said that how good the drum is not through looking at it, beat it. Right? Then you will know how good the drum is. Right? So the words, whether they carry any word meaning, just beat it. Ask question. You have to check it. Don't wait till the next bodhicitta retreat. We never know when it happens. Right? Anishwari? Don't wait till that point. Make sure that you beat it. Ask it. Whereas if you read it, if you read from a book, you cannot ask the book. You're getting it? What is written there, you read it 100 times, it's the same line. It cannot become the easier. So, this is it. Okay, so I cannot really speak on behalf of who said it, because what the person said, it can be very profound, it may not mean anything for that person. Whether it means something or not is that whether it makes sense to that person. If it makes sense to the person, it means a lot. If it doesn't make sense, if you just say something, the very nice words copied from somewhere else, which is known as, today, what do we call this as? Plagiarism, right? Borrowed words. Oh, borrowed words, the borrowed knowledge and the plagiarism, these two are slightly different. Plagiarism means you copied this and it's so like you get the impression this mic is coming from me, right? Whereas the borrowed knowledge is different. For example, if I say equals MC square, and if you ask me, how do you know this? I don't know this. I copied from, I just mimic Einstein. That's it, right? Okay, good. So the difference between the bodhicitta practice and the wisdom practice, bodhicitta practice, is that you're doomed to get stuck in your practice. If it does happen, you have to say, if possible, try to always, while you focus on practice, always leave a room for studies. Always leave a room for studies. Always leave a room for studies. These studies will greatly help you. You won't believe. After all this, like this is the 19th series of Bodhicitta Retreats, the series 19. And even just as recently as just yesterday, new thoughts are coming in me. I'm constantly growing myself. Because I'm getting the opportunity to study with you. Every time there's a Bodhicitta retreat, I have to think, I have to bring the materials, I read with you. So this is how I keep growing. And new thoughts are coming in me, growing in me. This is so fascinating. So, whereas if the knowledge is stopped, inflow of the knowledge is stopped, you feel complacent about when you know, okay, now I don't have time to read books, okay, you study, that is your job, I have no time, I have to recite mantra, this is my job, this is, now I don't have time for anything else, no studying. If that is who you are stopping the flow of knowledge within you. If the knowledge flow is stopped, you will not grow. You will never grow, right? You will never grow. Okay, so with this, for bodhicitta, you always leave some space for your studies. Minimum like half an hour reading of a material. Half an hour reading of the material. Like this book, even this book, this is so rich. And you can keep reading books of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. And if you do very systematic studies, like Narayana Master's course, and other courses also, there are many other courses elsewhere in the world. But of course, one thing unique about Narayana Master's course is very reasonable in terms of the price. We deliberately keep it very low, and for the students and for the monastics, it's totally free, and for the students, it's 75%. And it's why we are even this little thing. Highly subsidized, why it is charging something is for the people not to take it for granted, for the people to value this. Usually when given free, people don't value it. And it's not their mistake, this is human psychology. So with this in mind, this is what is happening. In other words, the systematic study is very helpful for you, number one. And then if there's a possibility, you can, people around, the teachers around you, you can make use of these teachers, ask them the questions. And what answer that you get, don't feel complacent. Again, come with the second question. Even a question can go deeper. So that's how we have to grow. Okay, and then amongst the Dharma friends, spiritual friends who have the same mental, the inclination, like, interested in Dhamma practice, bodhicitta practice, wisdom emptiness, study, reflection, then also discuss with them. So in the process, both of you can grow. Okay, this is the bodhicitta, wisdom of emptiness. On the contrary, wisdom of emptiness, it will take a long time for you to understand what the wisdom of emptiness, what the emptiness is. It will take a long time, which means it requires extensive studies. Without the extensive studies, you cannot understand emptiness. And some people, they come to me without studying anything. They have they read some books, they create their own ideas. They said that I understand emptiness. And then I cannot say that you don't understand. You do not go to the extent that I cannot say this. So I said, okay, I listen to them, right? And I don't say that is not emptiness. So then I just give them some clues with questions. And when they get stuck, they come to realize that I was in the optical delusion. I live in the delusion that I know emptiness, right? So I ask them questions. I never say that you have not understood emptiness. I cannot say this, right? Okay. So for emptiness, it will take time. It take time. And somebody said, who attended one retreat here in Root Institute, and after the retreat, the person was, doing that practice of emptiness. And one day, the person told me, in person, in the physical meeting, the person told me that on the meditation emptiness, when I meditate on my own without a problem, it works well. When I go into the stress, anxiety, and so forth, then when I meditate emptiness, it doesn't help. So then I told her that, how many years you meditate emptiness? She says, no, just from the retreat. What is the retreat? That time, I think 12 days. 12 days, and then 1 or 2 minutes, that's it. I thought that you are complaining after many years of study, reflection, meditation, emptiness. It's just that retreat. She said, yes. Then I said, you have to go for, if you really want the effect of this, stable effect of this, you have to study, reflection, meditate, emptiness, very systematically. And she said, what should I study? I said, study Acharya Chandrakirti's text, Madhyamik Avatar, entry into the middle way. And she said, how long will it take? I said, minimum 2 years. She said, are you? Then I told her, you choose. 2 years are you or lifelong are you? Then you choose. Right? Either you go for lifelong are you, or you go for 2 years are you, right? 2 years are you, and then are you is gone, right? Then you decide. That you decide, right? And anyway, you have to go through ayus. Whether it's 2 years or lifelong, that's up to you. Okay. So, in other words, emptiness, meditation emptiness, study, reflection, it will take a long time for you to understand what emptiness is. Precisely what emptiness is. It will take a long time. And it can be like, say you driving a train. You're on a train from Jammu Kashmir to Kanyakumari. All right. One naughty man, when he was giving a public lecture, he said that he went to Europe, and one European person told him that you're from India. And he said, yes. Oh, India is a very hot place. So he replied, very naughty. He replied, India is way bigger than whole Europe. You know what he's implying? Within India, there are so many places. Some are very cold, some are very hot, some are beautiful. You're saying that, just generalizing everything, India is very hot, which means that your thinking is too narrow. It is a huge country. You're getting it? So it is like being on a train from Jammu Kashmir down to Kanyakumari. So you will see what kind of landscapes? you're bound to see different landscapes. You're getting it? Likewise, emptiness is like riding a train from Jammu Kashmir to Kanyakumari, right? And year by year, if you're very consistent with your practice, meditation, study, practice and meditation, then you're bound to experience emptiness with a different landscapes. Every year by year, for 20, 30 years, constantly you can see slight change in the landscapes, sometimes very beautiful, sometimes different landscapes. You're bound to see the different landscapes as you go into the emptiness. Okay, so in other words, for emptiness, the great masters, what they say is that to understand emptiness will take a long time. To experience emptiness is very quick. This is what the great masters say. To get emptiness is very difficult. Once you get it, to experience that is very easy. For bodhicitta, to get it is very easy. To experience it, it will take a long time. What bodhicitta? To make your mind move. To make your mind move, but the bodhicitta, it will take a long time, many years of practice. Whereas to know what bodhicitta is very easy. For emptiness, to know what emptiness is, it will take a long time. And once you get it, to experience what emptiness is, to bring about the movement into the psychology and physiology, it will be very quick. Okay, this is difference. So with this mind, and this is one thing. Another distinction that I like to make is that for bodhicitta practice, you can be as creative. For bodhicitta practice, you can be as creative as long as you are within the frame, you stay within the framework of the instruction on the bodhicitta methods, bodhicitta practice methods. As long as you stay in this frame, then you can be as creative. You can bring your own experiences, what you read, you have seen, what you've experienced, what you heard from somebody else. You can bring all these in this, and for example, like say equalizing 7 others in your life, right? What you've seen, what you've heard, you can bring in this to add to this main structure that everybody is the same. Is same in wanting happiness, not wanting suffering. Everybody is same in having the perfect seed of perfection, the hidden treasure. Everybody has this, the same hidden treasure. Everybody has it. So these within the confinement of the framework, you can add any other information that you have, what you've experienced, what you've read, what you've seen, what you've heard. Bring them in you can be as creative. For emptiness, don't be creative. For emptiness, till you really understand what emptiness is, don't be creative. If you're creative, you end up in a very strange place, you cannot come back again. Right? So don't be creative. Always try to follow the path, what the great masters taught us, like Aranigarjuna, Acharya Chandrakirti, Bodhisattva Shantideva, and these great masters. And nowadays, even Lama Tsongkhapa's commentaries, they're extremely succinct, and clarity is there. Just follow this and see. The purpose is not about, okay, there's no freedom in emptiness, right? He said you should not be too creative. So where's the freedom of the creativity? It doesn't make any sense. It is self-deception. If you want whether you want to experience emptiness or you want to experience your emptiness, you want to experience your own version of emptiness, then you can be creative. But if you want to experience the real emptiness, don't be creative, because it will not take you to the real emptiness. Finally, it's up to you. So, if you really want to experience what emptiness is, don't be creative. Make sure that you just follow the reasons given by the great masters. Just see if you understand these. For the bodhicitta, you can be as creative by being within the confinement of the main framework of the teaching. Okay. So equalizing and exchanging self for others. What is next? Reflecting on the deep merits of cherishing oneself. And then the next one is reflecting the merits of cherishing others. Okay. So these two are the crux. The first one will give you the sound reason. First one, equalizing 7 others. This will give you a sound reason that we are all equal. Then the next two, number 2 and number 3 will boost you to revolutionize your thinking. What do you mean by revolutionize your thinking? It means that thus far we have been cherishing ourselves. Thus far we have been indifferent or oblivious to others. This is who we are thus far. Now, these 2 thoughts will make us just transform your change or revolutionize thinking. Henceforth, you just feel like cherishing others. If at all you want to be oblivious to somebody or to be indifferent to somebody, you choose the self rather than others. So this is how you revolutionize in your thinking. So this happens from the reflection number 2 and 3. So these 2, 3, this is so important. If you miss these 2 things, then your bodhicitta practice will not improve. Okay, so reflecting on the demerits of cherishing oneself. Okay, so all your experiences, what I'm sharing with you, many of this, they are with the basic framework that I learned from my teachers, and then you bring your own, say, the experiences, what you've heard, what you've seen, what you've read, what you've experienced, bring them. This is how we have to do. And if you look at the world around, this is very fascinating. Just this morning, this thought was just randomly coming to me on was this morning or yesterday? Yesterday, on one bus says Bimbisara something, right? The label of the bus is Bimbisara, the adventure, or something like this. So King Bimbisara became very important. Even today is remembered after 2,500 years. And many hotels, there was Sujata Hotel. Right? Who's Sujata? A lady who served the Buddha with the, what is that? Kheer, milk and rice, milk mixed, right? She served that. She's remembered after 2,500 years, right? And there must be so many people who served the poor people, right? Poor people before the Buddha came. Who are those people? We don't remember them. But Sujata became very important, right? Even for people to get money, there's a Sujata Hotel, right? Just giving this label. Wow, it's amazing. If you become enlightened, people around you, they automatically become very important. Sujata, Bimbisara, right? And what is the Buddha's father's name? King Shuddhodhan. Shuddhodhan, right? Very important. And Queen Maya Devi, right? Queen Maya Devi, the mother, and Prajapati, right? The 2 mothers. Wow, they all become so important. When Prince Siddhartha became Buddha, and after 2,500 years, people remember them, right? Even the hundreds of thousands of kings, they came, they are not remembered. Even the Sujata is remembered today. That's amazing. So this is where, and then how come that this Prince Siddhartha, how come that he became so important? It's all because of his compassion, because of cherishing others. Cherishing others, that he became so outstandingly unique that everybody around him is also remembered as so important. Okay, so from this we see that everybody wants to become, the famous. Everybody wants attention from somebody else. Do you agree with me or not? And the attention comes to you. The magnet of attention is your compassion. It's a compassion. Usually, say for example, this is my personal thing. Say, people, yes, I meet with many people, and particularly who I, say the people usually people when they come to me, they're all related to the interest in the Dharma. No, not for any other thing. And so who I feel particularly more like, I would rather trust, or I would rather say give responsibility, is when I see the person has a compassion. Person has a deep compassion. When I see that, then I give some responsibilities. You know why? Because for me, what I'm doing, what I'm trying to do, is not that I'm perfect. What I'm trying to do is embrace others, not to reject. And the embrace, and then one person cannot do everything. So even for small works, right? For example, I requested Ajahn Chula, I know him so many years. I requested Jugandhar, I know him from Assam many years, and I requested Nicola, who is the one we met here, and then because of him, so many people in France are benefited because he connected the Bodhicitta retreat with France. Yes, this is what he did. So there you see that people exude with compassion. When I see that this is very genuine compassion there, then I place some responsibilities. When this is missing, it can be very dangerous. When you place responsibilities, and this is to help others, to embrace others, and it can become like a tool to reject people. So therefore, for example, this is why, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, why so many people just to have the audience of His Holiness, audience meaning to see His Holiness, that's it, right? To see His Holiness, people spend money, time, resource. In some cases, they might even have to make request to the boss that please, I need like 1 week, leave from America, there's audience with His Holiness. Just to have the glance of His Holiness, people are doing this. They're not getting anything, they are not becoming famous, nothing. Simply they crave to have the audience. Why so this audience? Because of the quality of His love. This is so precious. This attracts the attention of the people, right? If there's a choice given, that you will be either ordinary as you are now, or you will become as somebody liked by the public of the world. What do you want to become? Somebody liked by the people of the world. For this, the one quality required is your compassion. Then people will continually love you. Whereas Trump, when he was the president, yes, he comes on the video with the word, television so often. Why? Because he's powerful. Not because of his love. He's powerful. So this is very transitory. When he's in power, he'll come. When he comes out of the power, then everything disappears. Likewise, youth, Hollywood, Bollywood stars, right? Very famous at the peak in the 20s or something like 30s. Everybody's talking about this, and so forth. Even I, when I was age, When I was age, I think maybe 9 or 10, right? Everybody's talking, Richard Gere. You know who Richard Gere is? And today's Richard Gere. That time, school children. Richard Gere, because he pronounced G-E-R-E. Richard Gere. And I did not know, I was totally innocent. What is Richard Gere? I asked, right, so all the boys, my classmates, they were so excited, right? They were so like, they have to run somewhere, to rush somewhere. And then, if I don't rush, then I'm also lagging behind. I have to also rush, but I don't know where to rush. How to rush? Why I'm rushing? I do not know, right? What is Richard Gere? I want to rush. And what is Richard Gere? I said, you don't know. I don't know. So you are on the, but you don't know where to rush, right? So I'm on the, just with so much energy rushing. Otherwise I'm late behind. Everybody's going there. So I'm also rushing. So what is Richard Gere? What is Richard Gere? A very famous, the Hollywood star. I see, right? And then so I rushed there. This is, people are crazy after Richard Gere. 40 years ago. Today, it's just a small history. He's now known not for his being a famous actor, plus he's being extremely courageous to stand for the truth and stand for the destitute. This is his greatness. This is why people remember him. Not that he is beautifully smart. He's not smart anymore. You getting it? Okay. So, youth attracts attention of people, but the youth is very transitory. You're getting it? With compassion, it attracts people, it is eternal. Whereas, what kind of attention do you want? Attention? Temporary attention or long-term attention? Long-term attention. If you want that, be compassionate, practice compassion. These are the benefits of compassion. Right? Think about this and then look at these, for example, like Mother Teresa. Mother Teresa, right? There's nothing really physically attractive. There's nothing that she is very powerful. There's nothing that she is there's nothing. But she's extremely, extremely respected everywhere. Why? Because of her love and affection, quality of love. And Jesus Christ, when I talk to the universities, particularly universities, and the people at the attendees, there are some religious people from different groups. Oftentimes I begin with the story of this story, that a girl was about to be stoned to death by a group of men. And for what? Of course, the girl's mistake, adultery. And these men were about to stone the girl to death. Suddenly, a gentleman appeared, and he stopped all the men and told the men, that the first person to throw stone to this girl should be the one who did not commit any evil in her life, any sin in her life. Every man dropped their stones. Then I asked the audience, do you respect this gentleman? And everybody said, yes. My question is, do you know who this gentleman is? Only few Christians will say, it is Lord Jesus Christ. And others have no clue. So I told the audience, this is Jesus Christ, who came out so courageously, and he's risking his life that these men, if they are insane, they can kill Jesus Christ himself, hit the stone to him. So he came up with so much courage to protect somebody who is so vulnerable now. It requires so much love, and a very profound love is required, very sophisticated love is required. And who is that? It's Lord Jesus Christ. This love makes billions to still remember him, still respect him, still follow him. It's the quality of love and affection. It cherishes others. So the point is that these are things that we need to reflect on. The good qualities, the compassion, which attracts the attention of people, which gives you everything good. You reflect on these qualities, then you see that, wow, that's very true. And this self-centered attitude in a family, somebody who is very loving and caring versus somebody who's so selfish. Generally, in a family, the one who's selfish is very, very unhappy. For small reasons, person will be agitated. What do you mean by unhappy? Agitated. For small reasons, person can easily become agitated. Whereas who's somebody who's so other-cherishing, compassionate, and caring, this person will really feel agitated. This is what makes this person less agitated. What makes the one person very agitated is that God created them differently, or that Buddha, they give them, say, one with peace of mind, or other with agitation. No, how you think. Your selfishness is one which gives you with agitation. Other shadow of mind gives you with a peace of mind. This is what we can see. So in other words, these are the things that we need to reflect in our life, and then think of, okay, how many times I'm agitated? When I'm agitated, am I imbued with the spirit of other cherishing or the spirit of selfishness? It's usually selfishness. And some of you may say that, for example, say the inhuman bad treatment of the animals, or inhuman treatment of other people and other human beings, the other animals. So then, out of compassion for them, you become so angry towards the people, the perpetrators, right? So what is this? There's also the element of the narrowness of the thinking and, say, the selfishness there. So what is that? So, these people who are the perpetrators, creating problem on the animals and other people, These people actually, if you look at the broader picture, they're creating negative karmas to open a new chapter of misery from themselves. When they go through miseries, again you will feel compassion towards them. If you really feel compassion towards them, when they go through the effect of these negative karmas that they're doing now, why don't you show compassion now and stop them from doing negativities so that they don't suffer? First you let them suffer and then you feel compassion. In the family also this is what happens, right? In the family, you fight. Husband, wife, fight. And finally the wife becomes sick, husband becomes sick. And then you feel compassionate, you start crying, you go to hospital, you raise your time, money, resources, That's what you do. So, in the first place, don't make the other persons go to hospital. How? Don't create the problem. Make your family, in the workplace, wherever you are, make everybody love you. Make everybody feel at ease to be with you. So this is where finally the secret of the happiness is other cherished mind, compassion. The secret of unhappiness is the selfishness. The key to the unhappiness is the selfishness. So you reflect on these, then you will see that okay, self-centered attitude attracts all the miseries. I don't want miseries. I'm scared of miseries. Look at the wilderness. Look at in the ocean. In the wilderness, in the forest, all these animals have to live. Everyone has to live in fear, including the strongest of the lions. They have to live in fear. Even the strongest of the lion has to live in fear, because another group of jackals can come to eat up the lion. Right? One jackal cannot eat up the lion, strongest lion. He can eat, but a group of jackals can eat the strongest lion. Even the strongest lion has to live in fear. Everyone has to live in fear. And how many of you are so excited? Early morning you get up, I'm so excited, today I'll have fear. Raise hands. Nobody wants to have the fear. And yet, the moment there's a fear there, unhappiness there, no one is to be blamed, it is your self-centered attitude. Without self-centered attitude, this fear is dissolved. The moment the self-centered attitude comes, the moment the fear comes in, be remembered. Be mindful that, okay, again my self-centered attitude is acting on me. You getting it? Okay, say for example, for no reason, how many of you in your lifetime, say in the early mornings, for no reason you get up and you feel so low, so gloomy, so low spirit. Raise hands. Who had that experience? Okay, anybody from Scandinavian countries? Anybody from Scandinavian countries? Or with the winter dark and wet? Raise hands. Winter dark and wet, right? Okay. Okay, this is more likely. Do you agree with me that the winter, let's say, is usually 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, it's still bright. 3 o'clock already become dark, right? And wet, foggy, people not talking to each other, right? And you're also very quiet like this, and even the body is like this. Seems like Chelsea is going through this right now. I'm going through like this right now? Yeah, I can see that. But my description fits her so well, so she laughed. So, whenever this low feeling comes, it's not that you're very selfish right now. No. Effect of the selfishness from long time ago is acting on you. Selfishness and self-grasping ignorance, they keep shooting arrows in the air. Keep shooting arrows. Arrows of the karmas. You are creating karmas, right? These karmas are shot from many lifetimes. Many of the arrows, they're still, in the air. In the air. Millions and millions of arrows you have already shot. From past lives, you already shot there in the air. Right? air, and some are faster, so they hit you faster. Some of them, they're in the air, right? So when you say that, oh, I'm so young, I'm beautiful, I'm handsome, like this, the air of old age is coming. Right? You don't see them, and it hits you, and suddenly younger ones say, you're not young, you're old, right? And then you're shocked, right? Air of the old age already hit. Sickness, aging, we never know. All these arrows are still in the air, right? And so which means that this arrow, there are two things. For this arrow to hit you, what's the purpose? Is to make you suffer. You're getting it? Make you suffer. So for this, your body should be, okay, let's say that, when do you suffer? When you have the armor or without armor? Without the armor, you're getting it? Without the armor, you suffer. Okay. And then the arrow means somebody should have shot it. Somebody must have shot it, right? Who shot it? And who made you without armor? Who removed the armor? You're getting it? What is the armor? Armor is the other cherished mind. Other armor is the wisdom of emptiness. These two are the armors. Even the arrows, they hit you, they hit and they will drop. You will not be affected. But the self-centered attitude removes the armor of the other cherished mind. Self-grasping ignorance removes the armor of the wisdom. Says, now you are bare, your body is so bare, so vulnerable, right? Now the arrow hits, you're dead, you are in pain. And then who shot this arrow? Again, the one who shot the arrow, it was again self-grasping and self-centered attitude. These two are there. Shoot an arrow. Who removed the armor? Self-grasping and self-centered attitude. These two remove the armor. So these two, if you, okay, this is what I will share with you. That imagine, it does happen oftentimes that you are working and you have the immediate boss and you have the main boss. And the main boss has nothing to do with you unless a very severe situation happens. Then the main boss will involve with you. Otherwise, he or she will not be involved. So your immediate boss. And imagine that that your immediate boss is extremely unkind to you. Or let's say the first few days and it's okay, and suddenly he changed or she changed and becomes so unkind to you. Every time you come, right, even though you come at the right time, right, we'll see the watch like this, right? If you're late by 2 minutes, like this, right? You say, good morning, sir, good morning, ma'am. And then before he or she replies, you look at the lights, which means that you are late. It says, just 2 minutes late was there, just 1 minute late was there, right? Whereas if somebody who he or she loves comes late by 10 minutes, still it's okay. How are you? Good morning? Good morning. How are you today? But for you, 1 minute late, still like this, right? Which means the person doesn't love you. Okay, then you see that he's so cruel, she's so cruel, so rude to you, right? Not say, good morning, sir, no reply, good morning. Finish, no reply, like this. Then will you be happy, unhappy? You are very unhappy. And then your main boss, CEO of the company, once in a while, you know, he meets you or she meets you. How are you? Right? How are you, Nubula? Wow, even my immediate boss, who is very junior to him, he's so rude to me, but he's so kind. Right? How are you, Nubula? Do you have a little time? We'll have a cup of tea. And then what will Nubula say? Oh, what an honor, you know, to be with the CEO, to have a tea with the CEO. And he's so kind. Any problem, let me know. If any problem with your department, if there's a problem, let me know, right? So let me, any problem with your boss, whatever, just let me know, we'll fix it. And you're so, what is your impression? You're so happy with your CEO, but not happy with your immediate boss, right? Okay, one day, you happen to pass by the CEO's office, and you cannot see anything, but you could hear somebody. A loud voice, there's a voice of the CEO scolding somebody, right? Saying that you have been too lenient on Nurpo, Mr. Nurpo, right? You have been too lenient. You have to work, make him work harder. You should be harsher, be more harsh. You have been too lenient. And then you hear the reply saying that I'm very sorry, I'll do that. And who's that? Voice is your immediate boss. Then you discover what? You discover the reality that my immediate boss is rude, not because of the boss, because of the CEO, who comes in the facade of being very nice, but actually being very unkind to you. You're getting it? So you know that it is the CEO who is actually behind all these my problems, who come and so nice, actually not nice. Okay, likewise, that, okay, I have this problem, yesterday, right? The weather was so hot, and bodhicitta, we do two, why two? Only one is good enough. And 3 hours there, 3 hours back, and then half an hour between the two places. Bodhicitta, one is actually enough. Why two, right? And the food is good, right? The food is nice, right? Yeah. So you see problems everywhere, and then you're very tired, and then all these beggars, right? Mani payment. What are money payment? Right? What are money payment? Right? So this your tiredness, it can give you a little irritation, agitation, right? Okay. So then, any time a problem is there, you're the mastermind of the problem. Most likely you are not seeing this. The mastermind of the problem is always unseen. Right? Here in this case, with somebody shooting an arrow, you have to know that who removed my armor. You have to know that. You're getting it? Who removed the armor? You have to know this. And who shot the arrow? You have to know this. And okay, if somebody is there who is in a way like, say, the arrows are coming to hit you, and somebody is saying, oh, I'm so happy that now she's going to be, she's going to, the arrow would hit this girl, hit this boy, I'm so happy, right? She will suffer, I'm so happy, he'll suffer, I'm so happy. Would you be happy with this person? No, you'll not be happy. But who is worse? The person who is just rejoicing and you being unhappy, or the person who removed your armor and the person who shot the arrow? Who is worse? The person who rejoices, or the person who shot the arrow and who removed your armor? Who's worse? The one who removes the armor as well as the one who shot the arrow. These two are the worst. These two are unseen. You don't see them. Who are these? Self-grasping ignorance and self-centered attitude. And worse, in terms of hitting the arrow, it is self-centered attitude. Who creates the arrow is the self-grasping ignorance. Self-grasping ignorance creates the arrow, and who shot the arrow is the self-centered. Self-grasping ignorance gives the arrow in the hands of the self-centered attitude. And then self-centered attitude shot it. Right? And who removes this arrow? Both. Who removes the armor? Self-grasping ignorance, self-centered attitude, both. Right? Okay. So, these two are the masterminds. Anytime you have a problem, anytime somebody says some harsh words to you, you feel irritated. This agitation, irritation is the effect. Immediate cause is the other person saying harsh words. But the real karmic cause is what you accumulated in the past. And who made you accumulate this? Self-centered attitude. You're getting it? Okay. And you're affected. You're affected means you felt the pain. The arrow is hit and you feel the pain. Because there's no armor there to stop this pain. So who removes the armor? Self-centered attitude. If the other cherishing mind is there, then the pain will not be felt as much. Because of this armor, you will not feel the pain. I thought that the Parag, right? Parag or Parag? Parag. I thought that Parag had the armor since long time, because he did not experience any pain. Later on I discovered some cigarettes. He was taking paracetamol. Then I realized that even Parag, I thought that all of us except for Parag. Then I realized even Parag had the armor removed. Right? Not only me, not only you, even Parag. Okay. So with this what I'm saying is that anytime we have these problems, yes, we'll have immediate anger towards the person, towards the situation, who is involved, immediately involved, but you as a Dharma practitioner, you have to know the mastermind behind this pain that you're going to experience, that you're experiencing, that you're going to experience. You have to remember the masterminds, two masterminds there. One is the one who shot the arrow and the one who removed the armor from you, who made you vulnerable to receive the effect of the arrow, right? Who shot the arrow? Self-centered attitude. Who created the arrow? Self-grasping ignorance. And here, who removed the armor to make you vulnerable? Self-grasping ignorance as well as self-centered attitude. If you have the self-grasping ignorance not there, with the wisdom of emptiness extremely intact, you will not feel the pain. And if you have the bodhicitta, the pain is good, almost, even if you may have the pain, but you not feel it. Because the bodhicitta, this adhichar's mind. So who removed this bodhicitta from you? Self-centered attitude. You're getting it? So, in other words, say, as a Dharma practitioner, how you decide that somebody is good Dharma practitioner? Okay, don't judge somebody else, yourself. How to see that whether you are a good Dharma practitioner or not, how to evaluate that is when you are hit with some tragedies and problems, right? Say, where does the blame go? The blame goes to that person, this place, that person, this weather, this and so forth, or the blame goes to this self-centered attitude, self-grasping ignorance. So, he, she, that place, this house, this is all external factors. My self-grasping ignorance, self-centered attitude, this is internal factors. You getting it? So when spontaneously, if the blame goes towards the internal factors, the two demons inside, you are a really accomplished Dharma practitioner. Whereas however many years you think you are in Dharma, but if the blame goes towards external factors, spontaneously it goes towards external factors, still you need to grow more. You are still not but there's limitation there. You have to grow, you need to grow. You're getting it? So the real test of being a Dharma practitioner is that this is very interesting. If you succeed in this practice, at least to some extent, even to just a small extent, when you, of course, we are so weak, we are so vulnerable, we are bound to have the problems. When we do encounter the problems and you feel sadness or agitated, okay, look, now be mindful, give yourself a little space and time to say, okay, now I'm feeling this pain, agitation, I'm disturbed, I'm the stress. Okay, look, again my self-grasping ignorance, self-centered, these two are acting on me to remove my armor. Right? Arrow shot by these two, and now experiencing this is that my armor is removed by these two things. These two things are now acting on me, right? The moment you feel that spontaneously, you feel that now the self-grasping and self-centered, these two are acting on me. Acting on me, if it happens very spontaneously in your mind, instantly, believe it or not, instantly your pain will subside. Particularly mental agitation, mental stress will subside, and you will feel incredibly, greatly healing, feeling of lightness. Instantly you could feel it. That's amazing. That's amazing. If this is what you can sustain, you never in your life you have to depend on antidepressants. You don't have to use antidepressants. If this is the degree of the success of your Dharma practice, if it happens to you, if you succeed to this level, you don't have to resort to any antidepressants. You getting it? Okay. So, this is how we reflect on the merits of cherishing others, on the demerits of cherishing oneself, to see that these two are like the ones which self-centered attitude is the one which removes the armor. Self-centered one is the one which shot the arrow of miseries to you, right? Okay, think of this and then look at it in our own life. We see that people who are selfish, they are suffering terribly, and people who are other-cherishing, they are calm and peaceful. And on you say the higher level, look at all these beings like His Holiness the Dalai Lama, Mother Teresa, Mahatma Gandhi is amazing. One person One person, say somebody threw him from the train, although he had a proper ticket, threw from the train, and otherwise we'll take it personally. We'll take it personally, and then we will, try to sue the person. But he took it very differently. He said that it's not that Gandhi is thrown out of the train, it's India is thrown out of the train. So I should vote not for Gandhi, I should vote for India. This made him the father of the nation. You getting it? Why India? He thought of all the other Indians. He did not think of me, the Gandhi. Right? Me, the Gandhi is selfishness. All the other Indians, this is other cherishing. This other cherishing mind makes him the Mahatma Gandhi. You're getting earned the epithet Mahatma. Okay, so look at all these great beings. They became great, loved by the people because of the other cherishing mind. And the more selfish you are, you suffer unnecessarily. You suffer unnecessarily. Okay, these are 2 points that we need to keep in mind. What's the next point? Taking the suffering for others with emphasis on compassion and giving a happiness to others with emphasis on loving kindness. These two steps combined together is known as the practice of Tonglen. In Tibetan, this is known as Tonglen. In English, the practice of giving and taking. Giving a happiness to others and taking the suffering for others. This is known as the practice of Tonglen. In Tibetan, is Tonglen. Okay. So now that with reflecting on point number 2 and 3, you're very convinced that cherishing others is the root of all my happiness. Cherishing self-centered attitude is the root of all my miseries. Knowing that and your experience, your aspiration for happiness, aspiration to get away from miseries, combined together will make the step number 4 and 5 very meaningful. Tonglen practice very meaningful. So how? First, as the taking the suffering of others on you. This is known as the practice of lempa. Lempa means to take the suffering of others on you with emphasis on compassion. Okay, so we see that there are 2 things coming here. Step 4 is related to compassion. Step 5 is related to loving kindness. So what is the difference between these 2? Compassion and loving kindness. These 2 are not the same, at least in this context. So how it is interpreted in English, the proper word, the compassion like mercy, not mercy like the pity and so forth. But here, in the Buddhist context, it has a very specific meaning. Compassion and loving kindness, these 2 are not the same. These 2 don't overlap as well. These 2 are very different and they are very systematically being defined. So compassion is what? Compassion is looking at the first thing that we need to know is that compassion and loving kindness both fall under the category of feeling of affection, feeling of love and affection. Both fall under the category of feeling of love and affection. Tsewa in Tibetan. Tsewa. Both are tsewa. Both are feeling of love and affection. And now, this feeling of love and affection can sometimes manifest in form of compassion, nyingje, sometimes manifests form of loving kindness. The chamba. Chamba is Tibetan word, loving kindness, and nyingje is the compassion. So this same feeling of love and affection can manifest in these 2 different forms depending on the situation. If the situation is such that you want the person who you love to be removed of suffering, then that aspiration, may you be freed from suffering and the cause of suffering, this is known as compassion. Compassion is seen from the point of view of the other suffering. From the point of view of the other suffering. Whereas the loving kindness is from the point of view of others, the happiness. So when you wish that others be freed from suffering, that is compassion. When you wish that others be endowed with happiness, this is loving kindness. This distinction we need to make. So once you know this, then with the step 4 is about the taking the suffering of others. So that is related to compassion. Step 5 is giving happiness to others. That is related to loving kindness. Okay, having said this, step number 4, this is taking the suffering of others. How to do this practice? It is the suffering that you take. There are so many ways of doing it. It's not that only what I'm teaching is correct and anything which is different from what I taught, what I teach, is wrong. This is not true, right? As long as it makes sense, it helps you to grow in your compassion and loving kindness, is fine. Although, say the modality or how you actually do it may differ, it doesn't matter. Okay, so the suffering that you take, suffering is of 3 kinds. What are they? Suffering change, pervasive contingent suffering. Okay, there are 3 kinds of suffering. So you take the suffering of others one by one. First, they take a suffering. Next, take the suffering of change. Next, take the pervasive condition suffering. How you do that? The great masters say that do that with the help of the breath, your breath. Okay, as you breathe in, first the suffering, you imagine the suffering of other beings. And initially don't do it as a very general suffering general, rather make it very precise. For example, like say the person, a captive in the hands of the terrorists, or let's say somebody who is going through terminal illness, or say somebody who is who suffers domestic violence, or somebody who is in the Ukraine wars, or let's say somebody, the poor chickens in the KFC, or let's say the poor animals like the fish, the crabs and so forth in the first hotel. And so think of these very specific situations, and somebody who just went through a tragedy and so forth. Just think of these, something very specific initially. So, and then as you breathe in, with the specific thing of that particular suffering, and then also specific along with the general. General meaning all the suffering, particularly this one, for example, like the poor chickens in the KFC, that the throat being slit. Just think of these, think of this, and take the manifest suffering in the form of very dirty water, and you just as you breathe in, imagine this dirty water in the form of the pains of others. They gush through your left nostril as you breathe in, and then do the intersection between the breathing in and breathing out. Intersection, imagine that these very dirty, forceful, ferocious water, they reach the heart, your heart. At the heart, imagine that self-centered attitude and self-grasping ignorance, 2 of them, since time immemorial, they have been just resting, they have been just enjoying in your heart. They just rest in your mind, right? Now suddenly this very dirty water, corrosive, acidic water, they gush into your left nostril and they reach the heart, and then these fight with the self-centered attitude, self-grasping ignorance, as though like your heart is being consumed by the acidity of this very dirty water. Heart is consumed, and your reaction is no doubt is going to be a little with a fear. When the fear happens, actually it is attacking your self-centered attitude. And then as you breathe out, it fights inside, and then the self-centered and self-grasping both are eaten up, consumed, and they all this dirty water go through your body down the earth and then goes down. You take it, do it 3 times. Okay, ready? We'll do it 3 times. Okay, just think of any specific suffering, any specific suffering, and then when you breathe in, and all the suffering with specifically with this particular thing that you are visualizing. Are you ready? Okay, good. Next, we'll take the suffering change, which is the mundane happiness, which is like the bait for the people to be trapped in samsara. How some people, say that okay, if you go through a little bit of struggle, and then in your studies, then you can clear the exam, and then your whole life will be extremely meaningful and happy, prosperous. And if you don't struggle this, if you just get trapped with this small happiness now, where you don't have to study, be with other people who are rich, and then who sponsor your five-star hotel experience, if you get stuck to this, you cannot have the long-term benefit of the meaningful life, purposeful life. You're going to lose. But people are more happy to get stuck there. Many people, they can't see the future. Okay, so this is suffering of the change which traps them, which is like a bait. And then in terms of getting away from samsara and attain Buddhahood, of course, this bait is the worst thing that traps us. Okay, again, think of one thing specifically, and then alongside, in parallel, all the suffering change you take in the form of the gushing dirty water, acidic, entering your left nostril, and then attacking your self-centered attitude, particularly self-centered attitude, along with self-grasping ignorance, and then go down 3 times. Okay, good. Then finally, the pervasive conditioned suffering. So how the beings go through involuntary birth in samsara, how the beings suffer because of the masterminds of the self-grasping, self-centered attitude, and how they, being under the mastermind of these two, you are trapped in samsara, constantly go through all these endless tears, life after life. Okay, 3 times. Now imagine that all the beings are free from 3 kinds of suffering. They get such a relief, they sigh with the relief. Are you good? So while we do this, make it a point that this practice is helping me to get into my self-centered attitude. And you have to think how self-centered attitude is so destructive, how all your pains are because of this. And any factor which destroys this self-centered attitude, this is my safe haven, this is the best of the friends. What is that? That is the other cherished mind, which makes me to take the suffering of others. Others are so helpful in helping me to get rid of my real enemy, self-centered attitude. Okay. We stop here. Deyata Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhiswatyata Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Swahatyata Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhiswaha